Today we're going to talk about consciousness only. Everything is created by our mind alone. We are going to look at the 3 kinds of states, 3 modes of knowledge, and 3 moral natures. First, let's look at our A consciousness. We have the eye consciousness, ears consciousness, nose, tongue, body. These 5 experience the external world, sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Then we have the 6th consciousness, the mind consciousness that discriminate and have perception. Then we have the 7th consciousness, which is the manas consciousness. It perceives the 8th consciousness as the self. Then we have the alaya consciousness, which is the big storehouse that stores all our karmic seeds. All 8 consciousness can be in line with these 3 kinds of states, 3 modes of knowledge, and 3 moral natures. 3 kinds of states are the perceived objects of our mind. The 3 modes of knowledge are the subject, the thinking mind that perceives the objects. First, look at the 3 kinds of states. The first state is real state. It's the truthful state that is happening right now in front of us. For example, our eyes sees, ears hears, nose smells, tongue tastes, and body touches. All these at the very first instance. That is called the real state. But this state is only the first instance when you have no thoughts at all. For example, you see a house. Before you even have the idea that this is a house, before you give it a name, that is called the real state. We hardly ever see this real state. Once we start discriminating, once we start thinking and give a name, labeling, give it stereotyping, then it's called the distorted state. So the real state is no longer real. It's now distorted. It's transposed by our thoughts. Because our first 5 consciousness, the second instance, it's already working together with the 6th consciousness because they are in intimate connection with each other. The first 5 cannot really function by themselves. They always have to work with the 6th consciousness. Therefore, the 6th consciousness grabs onto the shadows of the first 5 consciousness and it creates an image in its mind. So we only experience the distorted state in our 6th consciousness. We never really see the real state that is outside. So we're always living in a distorted state which has our own thinking, our own perception. And this distorted state includes our 7th consciousness. The 7th consciousness only cares about the 8th consciousness. It doesn't go outside to experience the world. It only takes the perceiver of the 8th consciousness as the self. So its object is the image of the self. But this is already a distorted state. Number 3, we have the imagined state. This state is only imagined by our 6th consciousness. Even without the help of the first 5 consciousness, we don't have to experience the world. We can be thinking all the time. This includes our memory. Is kind of like the distorted state, but it's actually only an imagined state because nothing is in front of you. You can remember things from a long time ago. For example, a lot of people remember the childhood abuse or someone who done us wrong, and we remember for our whole life, and it will give us anxiety, fear, or emotional burden. Most of us, we only live in our imagined state. Our mind is mostly negative in its thoughts. Imagined state include our dreams, hallucinating or daydreaming. That's all imagined state. As you can see, we want to be in the real state. Enlightened being, a saint, they are usually in the real state. They're always right here, right now. Someone asked the Zen master, how do we know if we're enlightened? The master said, eat when you're hungry, sleep when you're drowsy, then you're enlightened. Most of us, we cannot eat when we're hungry. We always have to discriminate. This food is good or bad, it's too salty, it's too sweet, it's too bland. Keep giving it opinions. You can never eat as it is. And we can't really fall asleep when we go to bed because we keep thinking. A lot of us cannot accept and work with the reality. We lose our peace and equanimity. But a Zen master or enlightened being, they look like average person, but their mind is always at peace because they always live in the emptiness awareness. They are not giving judgment about things. They always live without vexation or attachment. Now let's look at the three modes of knowledge. The subject, the perceiver. Our perceiver can have three modes. The first mode is veridical, which is the truth, genuine, the fact, not illusory. So it always goes with the real state. Veridical is the state we want to be in when we are meditating. That's right here and right now. If we're having wandering thoughts, then it's no longer the veridical state. We want to bring ourselves to the breathing, to the present moment, to the name Amitabha. That's when we are right here and right now. You know who else is always in the state? Babies. So we should learn from babies. When they're hungry, they eat. When they are sleepy, they sleep. They do not discriminate much and they do not think too much. That is actually the best state of mind. We have inference when we are having assumptions about situations. And we have logical thinking when we are analyzing, when we're planning, when we're studying. That's the state of inference. When we assume correctly, it's called inference. When we assume incorrectly, it's called fallacy. It's wrong. For example, the seventh consciousness thinking that the perceiver of the eighth consciousness is the self, that is a fallacy because there's no actual thing as self. The seventh consciousness perceives incorrectly. It's a false self. We all live in this false self. That's why we are always living in the mode of fallacy. We experience the world from the point of view of the self. The seventh consciousness is always influencing and telling the sixth consciousness what to think. All our emotion is based on how tainted and polluted our seventh conscious is. So the distorted state can be inference or fallacy. The imagined state can be inference and fallacy or veridical. Sometimes when you're in meditation, there is a Chinese fable called cup bowl snake reflection. There is a person named Wen Gang. He went to his friend's house and that friend gave him a cup of tea. In the cup of tea, all of a sudden he saw a little snake. But he doesn't want to hurt his friend's feeling, so he drank the whole cup of tea. After he went home, he felt very sick. A lot of doctors tried to heal him, but nobody can help him. The friend asked him to come back to his house again. So he went back and he sat in the same seat in the cup of tea. And there's a snake again. He was scared and he told his friend, "Oh my God, there's a snake in my tea." His friend said, "Look, there's actually a bowl hanging on the wall behind the chair. The snake is only the reflection of the bowl." Wen Gang felt very silly and he no longer felt sick. So his mind is taking the distorted state and he's living in the mode of fallacy. So this is a perfect example of how our mind affects our body. Whatever we think, it will affect how we are. Be careful of our thoughts. The subject and the object together, we will have three kinds of thoughts. It's called the three moral natures. We can have wholesome thoughts, unwholesome thoughts, and neutral thoughts. The first five consciousness can have all three natures, wholesome, unwholesome, or neutral. The first five, they have minimal ability to have wholesome or unwholesome thoughts. Mostly, it's working together with the sixth consciousness. that has these three modes. The first five consciousness, they are mostly in the neutral mode, which is not wholesome and not unwholesome. Wholesome means we are benefiting others now and in the future. Unwholesome means we are harming others now and in the future. Neutral means it's not wholesome and not unwholesome. For example, when we're bored, we're not doing anything. We're just standing there, or we're just daydreaming, or we're just sleeping. But that is still a kind of ignorance. You will still create negative karma because you're not doing things to help yourself being enlightened or helping others or doing good deeds. We all have these three natures of thoughts. The key is we want to stay wholesome. So anytime when we're positive, we're faithful, we're cheerful, we're grateful. When we are unwholesome, any negative emotion, when we're depressed, we are stressed, we are fearful, we have anxiety, bitter, angry, jealous, that's all unwholesome thoughts. Wholesome thoughts will create wholesome deeds and wholesome karma. Unwholesome thoughts will create unwholesome deeds and unwholesome karma. So every thought has effect. All these, they are collected in the alaya consciousness as karmic seeds. When the conditions ripen, they ripen into result, into the world that we experience. So all the outside world is created by our alaya consciousness. This is a big cycle of reincarnation. Everything's created by our mind, and everything is experienced by our mind. Nothing is really outside of our mind. That's why it's called consciousness only. So realize that all the consciousness are empty in nature. They are the deluded mind. This is not our original self. We are actually the enlightened mind that is without the A consciousness. All the A consciousness are purified into wisdom, and we are empty in nature. That's our true suchness. We want to bring ourselves to the state of true veridical and real state. Even all these are empty in nature. You want to bring back the state of true emptiness. That is nirvana or enlightenment. That's the class for today. Thank you for listening. Amitabha.